So gut entering gut means from here, right? The gut is also important natural defense of the body against disease, right? The saliva, look, we are starting, we are from the starting one we are talking. So alimentary canal, it starts from the mouth and it end up with the anus, right? So
Yeah.
that complete pipeline is called alimentary canal, right? So the saliva in your mouth is bacterial, is has bactericidal properties, right? Means antibacterial property. I have already told you that the saliva have a certain kind of the enzyme. First, it is slightly acidic, right? Then saliva have uh, particular kind of the enzyme. We call it lysozyme. And lysozyme, what exactly they do? They lysis the cell, means they rupture the bacterial cell. So, and there are some other animals as well. When we talk about the dogs and all that, their saliva also have. Their saliva is much more stronger antibacterial, much more stronger in terms of antibacterial property. Right. That's why they keep on licking their wounds and all that, and that's how they heal their wounds. Okay. The
Okay,
saliva in your
sir.
mouth,
What
yeah,
enzyme does saliva have?
lysozyme,
Lysozyme.
the same enzyme which we discussed last class.
Oh,
Lysozyme,
lysozymes.
yes, lysozyme.
Okay.
So that lysozyme is very helpful in rupturing the bacterial cell. The saliva in your mouth have bactericidal properties. Some polypeptide produced in the salivary glands destroy the bacteria, and some other slow down the bacterial growth. So saliva have two functions. Either it kills the bacteria or it's reduces the bacterial growth. Uh, your stomach produces hydrolytic acid with the pH approximately 2. This is highly acidic, pH 2. So, and this is effectively destroy the majority of microorganisms. For sake of example, you eat in something, right? First, you will start chewing it. Chewing it means the bacteria will face saliva, lysozyme, and its acidic property. Anyhow, consider that the bacteria is much more stronger. Its capsule is very tough, so it can withstand with the this lysozymic property. Then what will happen? Then the food will start moving from our this food pipe, right, from esophagus to food pipe. Then it will reach to the stomach. The stomach have HCl. HCl is very strong antibacterial component, and what is the function? First, it kills the germs. Then say second function, it prevent the food from rotting, right? So effectively, and what is the pH value of this is the 2. I have one question. You must have gone through the digestive system. Did you? Have you studied
Yes.
digestive system? So what is the pH value of HCl in the small infant or kids?
Well, no, no, no. I don't know that.
Remember,
Never
the pH
discussed that.
pH value is approximately 2.5 in adult, but in infants this is not that much. It is approximately 5.
Okay.
pH is 5 in kids and infants, because their intestine is not that much, their stomach is not that much strong, their inner lining of epithelium is not that much strong, so that they could face the pH value 2. Because pH value 2 means highly acidic, right?
Okay.
If and this effectively destroy the majority of the microorganism which you absorb through your mouth. The
Oh,
natural flora in the gut usually compete successfully for both nutrient and space with any microorganism which manage to pass through the stomach. Like the skin flora, the gut flora produce antimicrobial compound, right? So the second thing is that this gut flora, microflora, when we talk about, means the bacteria which are present in our gut, they first thing they compete with the outside bacteria for nutrient, space, and then they produces some antimicrobial compound which kills another bacteria. Another way in which the stomach help to protect against disease is vomiting. This is also a common symptom of illness or infection. Vomiting is when the content of stomach are forcibly removed from the body through the mouth. This complex process is partially coordinated through number of different sites in the brain. Vomiting can be. So, can you tell me what part of our brain is responsible for vomiting?
I don't know.
Don't know.
No,
Hide brain. And what part of the hide brain?
I don't know.
Medulla.
Medulla?
Medulla is responsible for vomiting, sneezing,
Okay.
vomiting and sneezing. Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay. Coordinated through the different sides of the brain. Vomiting can be caused many things, inducing, absorbing toxic, bad smell, pregnancy, tumors. However, one of the most common cause of the infection of the gut. It is this if the stomach is infected with the bacteria or viruses, vomiting effectively physically removes many microorganisms from the system. In the most cases, the disease period is short and the self-limiting. However, in very young children and weak, however, in most of the cases, disease period short, self-limiting. However, in very young children, the weak, elderly people, or even disease last longer. In cholera, dysentery, the loss of the fluid and the electrolyte often combined with the high fever, which can result the severe dehydration and death as well. Right. So even from the vomiting, a person can die. Right.
Yes.
Next. So is it good or bad for us?
What?
Is it good or bad for us? Vomiting.
I think it's good because it removes the bacteria.
Right, right. But in the same way, it is bad as well, right? Why?
Well, it
Because
causes dehydration.
exactly dehydration and loss of the stomach. Sorry, loss of the electrolyte. Right. So did you got the main points?
Yes.
Fine. Ulcers, changing the mode of disease. Should we discuss this one?
Yeah.
Okay. For many years, people thought that the gastric and duodenal ulcers were caused by the stress increasing acid production in the stomach. Most of us still think that. These high level of acid then damages the lining of the stomach, causing an ulcer. When it's painful, eroded area of the lining of the gut. Treatment involve the drugs to reduce and neutralize the amount of the stomach acid, allowing ulcer to heal. However, the ulcers often return, presumably reflecting that continuous stressful lifestyle of the patient. In 1980s, Australian pathologist Robin Warren observed that the bacteria Heliobacter pylori in the stomach cells about 50% of the stomach bypasses. He saw that noticed that the inflammation was always visible as well. The scientifically accepted view then it was that the bacteria could not live in the stomach because the acidic condition. Barry Marshall was the young doctor who found it that these results were very interesting. And, and when Warren started to work together, Marshall suspected that the bacteria might be causing stomach ulcers and designed a series of the tests and try to demonstrate this. These include the infecting himself with the bacteria and observed that the changes in his stomach. His work showed that the ulcers caused by bacteria and they could be treated with the antibiotic that destroy the bacteria, so the ulcer did not return. Right. Gastrologists who spend a lot of the time in treating chronic ulcers sufferers and drug companies who produce the best selling drugs to relieve the ulcer pain and block acid production resist the cheap and the simple solution. It took 10 years, around 10% of the doctor convinced by the Marshall's work. Now, most of doctors accept that helio, that Heliobacter pylori is the major cause of the ulcer, not the stress. Barry Marshall continued his research and investigating the link between the Helicobacter pylori, and certain stomach cancers, which is now an accepted and causative relationship. This has been the first bacteria. This time, sorry, this was the first time that the bacteria has been linked to the cancer, and the World Health Organization now classified H. pylori as the first carcinogen in 2005. Robin Warren and Barry Marshall received the Nobel Prize for his work. And would you tell me what are the carcinogens?
I guess they're like red pigments in food.
Carcinogens?
Bugs?
No. Anything, anything, any factor which trigger the uncontrolled division of the cell and causes cancer are carcinogen.
Let me write
Right?
that down.
So simply, the any factor which causes the cancer is called carcinogen. Tobacco, like nicotine, right? Nicotine, arsenic, radioactive element, ultraviolet rays, right? They all trigger the uncontrolled division and causes cancer. So they all are carcinogen, right?
Anything that causes uncontrolled division
Division
of
of the cell.
bacteria or cells.
Anything, either ultraviolet rays or its wave, it's radiation, it's energy, it's chemical, it's any biotic factor like virus, bacteria. So whatever causes the cancer is called carcinogen.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. Sir, I've heard that some people get stomach ulcers because they eat spicy
Sorry?
food. I'm saying I've heard that some people get stomach ulcers because they eat spicy food.
Yeah,
Is it
that
true?
happens. I do believe that that's true. Basically, this is the red chili. What I have discussed, this is that I have not read with the books, but that's what I have discussed with many of my friends who are the doctors, right?
Okay.
And many of my students who are the doctors. I discussed with them. Basically, this is the red chili, and the outer flakes of the red chili, that part, right? So that red chili, when the people eat extensively red chili, what happened? It get deposited in the mucus part or the internal part of the intestine, and it causes the eroding of the that stomach part. So that also causes cancer. That also causes the ulcers. One more important thing I have listened, that those people who like, suppose that I used to start teaching at the 6:30 morning, right? Keep on the teaching for next 10 hours, right? Many of the time I did not get the chance to get the breakfast or to get the lunch, right? Directly I used to take the dinner, or sometime I used to take the breakfast, then I used to get the dinner only, right? So during this time span, my stomach used to remains empty, but continuously the acid secretion keep on going, whatever have been discussed over here, right? So acid is coming out, but there is no food. So what it will do? It will start the increasing the concentration of the acid, and that concentrated acid in the empty stomach, it used to start the erode the inner lining of the stomach. That may also cause the ulcers, right?
Okay, so like red chili flakes are the main issue, or the
Red
powder as
chilies,
well?
yeah, red chili. That I am sure that red chilies. So never use the red chili. That is really very harmful for your health. Always use the green chili. That is really very beneficial for your health. It have potassium. It have the many of the component, many of the acid component, which is very helpful, and it have the vitamins as well, right? Vitamin K. It is rich in vitamin K.
So like you don't have food with red chili?
No, you need not. You should not eat the like, whenever I get the red chili, whenever I get the red chili at my home, I throw it out in the dustbin. That is the most harmful thing. Eat as much as you can eat the green chili. It won't harm you any more.
Okay.
How do the bacteria causes the disease, right? So you have to what you have to notice, that there is no bacteria which causes the cancer, but yes, the scientists who got the Nobel Prize, they have proved this is the um, this this is the Heliobacter pylori, right? Heliobacter pylori is the bacteria which is responsible for causing the stomach ulcer, means that is a cancer as well, right? How do bacteria causes the disease, right? uh, invading pathogens sometime enter in your body. In spite of all barrier, your body present. You have seen in section 6A2 how the virus causes the symptoms of the disease when they cause the lysis or body cells release the virus particle. But how does the bacteria? You may feel it, right? So the same like the virus, bacteria also do, but the bacteria do not hijack our system. Bacteria just multiply inside our body, right? Inside the cell. Once the pathogenic bacteria enter in the body, they causes the sign and the symptom of disease in a number of ways. Some bacteria causes symptom of disease simply result of the way they invade and destroy the host tissue. However, most of the bacteria makes people unwell because they produces the toxin. That is the main thing. Bacteria produces the toxin from their outer surface. When they release the toxin, that causes us sick. Toxin by the way of by as byproduct of their metabolism, right? They take the nutrition and as a metabolic waste, they excrete some toxins, and which is really very harmful for our body. And when the toxin get released in our body, in blood, in or in our stomach, then we then we get this symptom like a high fever, a weakness, or burning sensation, and all that. The toxin may prevent the normal functioning of the whole host organism or just immune system. So what toxin can do? Either it will hamper the metabolic activity of the host or organism, or it can hamper the immune system. Toxins are classified in two part, right? As a endotoxin and exotoxin. That you have to focus over here. It's very important. That can be asked in your examination. What are the endotoxins? Right. The endotoxins are lipopolysaccharide. So, what are the lipopolysaccharide? Tell me, Affaf.
Uh, polysaccharides that have fats.
Right. Uh, Look,
I did study this in like unit one,
lipid.
two, three.
You must have studied it in your this one when we discuss plasma membrane structure. This is lipid, right?
Yeah.
When lipid have the chain of polysaccharide, right? This is polysaccharide means sugar,
Yeah. Carbs.
right? Carbs, polysaccharide, right? So generally we call what kind of the lipid we call it? We call it glycolipid.
Yeah. I studied this in unit one and two and three.
Yes, we discuss it in when we discuss the structure of the plasma membrane. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when the lipid have polysaccharide chain, we call it lipopolysaccharide, right? So endotoxins are a type of lipopolysaccharide. That they are integral part and outer layer of the cell wall. Look, it's written over here of the gram-negative bacteria. Scientists have discovered that the lipid part of the polysaccharide act as toxin. So which part is toxin?
Lipopolysaccharides.
Right. So the lipid part. Basically, this is the lipid part, not the sugar part. This is the lipid part of the lipopolysaccharide act as toxin. The
Okay.
polysaccharide stimulate the immune response of immune response. The bacterial endotoxins have their effect around the site of bacterial infection. So, what is their effect? Site of bacterial infection. Keep on underlining whatever I am underlining over here. It's very important, right?
Okay. I'm doing just that.
Yeah. The pathogenic effect often include the symptoms such as fever, vomiting, diarrhea. These can be caused, for example, by strain of the Salmonella. So, do you know Salmonella species? Can you tell me? And E. coli. Can you tell me a disease which is caused by Salmonella?
Don't really remember. Maybe
Salmonella
fungal
typhi.
infection,
Salmonella typhi that causes typhoid.
typhoid.
Yes. Salmonella typhi is bacteria, one of the member of Salmonella species that causes the typhoid. Right. Escherichia coli. Escherichia coli are two types. One, they are the very friendly for our gut. They live in our large intestine and they help in digestion and formation of vitamin D and K. But some of the E. coli, they are the very harmful. The disease caused by bacterial endotoxins are often not fatal, but symptom produced they can lead directly into they can lead, but but symptoms they produces can lead indirectly to the death. For example, dehydration as a result of the severe diarrhea, right? Antibiotic treatment that destroy the bacterial cells by lysis of the cell can also lead to the further endotoxin release due to lipopolysaccharide component of the cell wall, right? So, can you tell me what are the antibiotic?
The ones that kill the bacteria inside the body.
Very good, very good. Excellent. So, did you got it? What are the endotoxins?
Yeah. Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
When a person overuses antibiotic treatments, what happens to a person's body?
What happened to person's body? Okay, very good question. You know, basically the antibacterial. Affaf, listen carefully in very simple way.
Okay.
If there are a crowd of 100 or 200 people, right?
Yeah.
And there are some bad elements, like you can say they may be a terrorist, they may be some very bad element, right? Kill serial killers, terrorists. So out of these 200 people, there are 40 terrorists, right? A military person, a police person, it starts shooting out, right? So do you think that the bullet knows that whom it have to hit?
No.
No. Definitely, you know, it's not going to happen that out of the 200, only 40 will die. More than 40 will die. Practically, is it true or not?
Yeah.
And it happens regularly. The same way, what happens? There are two, we have already discussed that inside our gut flora, which are the friendly for us, it's very helpful for digestion. Like our stomach have lactobacillus bacteria that help in digestion process, right? Our large intestine have E. coli that is responsible for the digestion of the food, that is also responsible for production of vitamin D and vitamin K, and number of the it help in the absorption of the iron and other factors as well. So there is some good bacteria which help to digest and they maintain the gut flora. Sometimes doctors suggest you that have a curd, right? Have a curd and that kind of the product that enhance your the gut flora, and hence it increases your efficiency of your digestive system as well. But whenever you take the antibiotic, like the bullet antibiotic, do not know is it a good bacteria or bad bacteria. It kills both of the bacteria. When it kills both of the bacteria, you must have seen the what happens. The person who taking the high dose of the antibiotic, he or she start lose motion, burning sensation in the stomach, and all that, right?
Yeah.
These also kills the gut flora, good bacteria as well. Along with the bad bacteria, they kills the gut bacteria, good bacteria as well, right? Because of
So,
that, our digestive process happens.
okay.
That is the side effect of antibiotic. One and more important, antibiotic suppress our own indirectly. It suppress our own immune system, right? Means it also it also sorry indirectly directly it increases the resistance of the bacteria, antibiotic. Hence antibiotic increases the resistance of the bacteria, means it makes use of higher dose of antibiotic. It makes the bacteria more and more strong. We'll study in biotechnology part. How does it work? Tell me. Yes, you are saying something.
Uh, so I was saying that if we overuse the antibiotics, we are just destroying our body, right?
Exactly.
And gut.
Never take the antibiotic unless this is the only option left with you,
Okay.
and never take frequently the these what to say medicines, like never take
Well, I've
as
seen
much it's
many
possible.
people use Panadol
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
they need.
Frequently, most of the people,
What is
most
it?
of us are themselves like with 20-25% doctor. They hardly go to the physician. They take medicine themselves.
Yeah.
And many of you must have seen those who are less educated. They take the consultation of the drug chemist, right? They go
Yeah.
to drug shop and they ask him, give me some medicine. I have this and this that disease, and they take it, and that is really very bad, right? So if you are taking antibiotic frequently, if you are taking the medicine frequently, means you are uh, making your own immune system weaker, and that will, in the long run, that will um,
Not
that will
bad.
be fatal for your body. It's not harmful, that may be fatal for your body. You know, in India, this is the main cause of the um, uh, product, this is the main cause behind the uh, increasing in the number of the diseases. What happened every time we take the antibiotic, bacteria produces resistance against it. So over the generations, bacteria become more resistant with that antibiotic, and after some of the thousands of the generation, that bacteria become completely immune with that antibiotic. Means that antibiotic is not going to kill that bacteria, particular species. And
Okay.
that's what happened 2 years back. There was an bacteria which born in the central part of the Delhi, and the name of the bacteria was NDLS 25. NDLS 25 was that much strong bacteria because it did not affected the Indians, rather it affected the Americans. So many of the Americans died because of that bacteria, and no antibiotic of the world were working on that bacteria. But the name of the bacteria was NDLS 25. Then the scientists started research discovery that how does this develop, where, what is the origin of that bacteria. Then they came to know that this bacteria developed in Delhi only, central part of the Delhi, and this bacteria developed because of the high dose of the antibiotic.
Okay.
So after, in the long run, government have uh, uh, stopped the production of the many, and prohibited the production of the many of the antibiotic and many of the medicines. They have been completely banned in this country, production of those medicines. So always these medicines are life supporting drugs. Drugs are, they are very harmful for our body as well. So this was endotoxin. Got it?
Yes.
Should we go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now come to the, what are the exotoxins? Exotoxins are usually soluble protein that produced and released into the host body by the bacterial as they metabolize and reproduce the cells of their host, right? So basically, what are the exotoxins? They are usually soluble protein, means they are more harmful, right? They get dissolved
Yes.
easily. So exotoxin, they are usually soluble protein. And what about the endotoxins? They are lipoprotein, means they are insoluble with the water, right?
Yeah.
So
So
exotoxin are
like
usually,
exotoxins are much worse.
right. It means exotoxins will spread frequently. Exotoxins are usually soluble protein that are produced and released into the host body by the bacterial cell as they metabolize and reproduce the cell of their host. Exotoxins are produced by both gram positive and gram negative bacteria. And what about the endotoxins?
Only gram negative.
Right. And have the greater effect than endotoxins, as they often act the site far from the infecting bacteria. That's what we discussed, because they are soluble. There are many different type of the exotoxins uh, with specific effect. For example, some damaged cell membrane causing cell breakdown and internal bleeding. Some act as competitive inhibitor to the neurotransmitters, right? Do you know the neurotransmitter?
Yeah, the ones that transmit the nerves to the brain.
Very good, very good.
Uh,
So means they can suppress, exotoxins can suppress the nervous system as well, right?
yeah.
Other directly poison cells. Exotoxins rarely cause fever. That is very important. Rarely causes fever, but they can cause some most of the dangerous fatal bacterial disease. For example, Clostridium botulinum. Do you know there was a disease named botulism? You know what is that disease?
No.
Botulism is the disease where nose running starts and causes fever, and it's may cause the death. Botulism even have you listened about the bird flu?
Yeah.
Bird flu is like botulism. Okay, that's producing botulinum toxin. one of the most toxic neural substances known, right? So it is estimated that 1 milligram of the pure toxin could kill 1 million guinea pigs. How you can understand how the harmful this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So underline this point, then we'll go to host tissue invasion.
Okay.
Done?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Host tissue invasion. The third way of bacteria as the pathogen that they invade in. So first was from the inner lining or outer lining, right?
Yeah.
Second, from the gut. Next, the host tissue invasion. Third way of bacteria act as a pathogen by invading the host tissue and damaging the cells. The response of the host organism to the cell damage causes the symptom of disease. Often, the cell damage is also linked to the production of the endotoxin or presence of the endotoxin in the bacterial cell wall. One of the most wider spread and damaging bacterial infection is this type is tuberculosis. Case study of the disease tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is like uh, this disease is very bad kind of the disease, and it is spread very frequently. And it have to do with the density of or density of the population, right? If the density is more, then tuberculosis will be more because it is spread through the air. It seems amazing that the microscopic pathogen that caused the animals large as human being to become seriously ill and even to die. In this section, you look the bacterial disease which infect, damages, and kills the millions of the people each year. That's true. Tuberculosis, TB. The tuberculosis TB is one of the most common human infectious disease. Infections. The World Health Organization figure in 2016 that there were around 10.4 million new cases of the TB worldwide. Now you can understand. And approximately 1.7 million people died of with this disease. Now you can imagine. Out of 10.4, 1.7 died. Means approximately 20% people die every year. People die because of this disease. Number who died include 0.4 million people who also have the HIV or AIDS. One thing which I want to tell you that HIV is a symptom. It's not a disease. And the
Okay.
person who have AIDS will 99.9% will die due to the TB only. That is the first. That is for sure. The person of the HIV infected person generally die with the TB.
Sir, what is HIV a symptom of?
Sorry?
You said HIV is a symptom. What
No, no,
is
no,
it
no,
a
no.
symptom of?
The HIV infected person,
Oh, okay.
HIV patient or HIV infected person, 99%, 99.9% will die because of the TB. Because HIV is not a disease, it's a syndrome, right?
Okay.
A syndrome. Okay. So up to a third of the population of the world has been infected by the TB, but many of those people have no symptom. At least one of the 10% one in the 10% of these uh, symptomless people will develop active TB later, and without the effective treatment, 50% of the people with TB die in disease. One more important thing, each and every of us who's living in the polluted cities have the symptom of the TB, right? And uh, our immune system is very active. That's why it keep on suppressing the TB bacteria. But when immune system become weaker, we get the TB, right?
TB caused, actually.
TB is commonly caused by the bacteria Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is spread by the complete infection. The people who living or working in the crowded conditions have an increased probability of being infected because of the disease is spread through the people who breathing, coughing, and sneezing near to each other. People who are malnourished, ill, or have some problem with the immune system are more vulnerable with the disease. That you have to note it down. The people who are malnourished, ill, or have the problem with their immune system, they are more vulnerable to disease and much more likely to develop active TB than the healthy, well-fed individual. People who are living with the HIV and AIDS, that's what I was discussing with you, particularly vulnerable to the infection with Mycobacterium tuberculosis as a result of which reduced immune response, right? Healthy, well-fed person, its immune system is very active, so it may have the TB infection, but that will be the passive, that will not be active, right? Globally, the other common source of the infection from the bacterium is Mycobacterium bovis, which particularly infect the cattle. People become infected by drinking the infected milk or living with the working close with those cattle, right? So that may also called TB. TB, so that you have to underline Mycobacterium bovis, which particularly affect the cattle. The TB often affect the respiratory system, damaging and destroying the lungs tissue. It also suppresses the immune system, making the body less able to fight for the disease. The well-known symptom of the TB, which are weakness and coughing, coughing blood, appear that end-to-end disease process. Only about 30% of the people exposed to TB will become the infected. Means only the 30%. Who are those people who are the weaker, malnourished, and they have some other disease? In primary infection, the bacteria which have been inhaled into the lungs multiply slowly, often the causing no obvious symptom. If you have healthy immune system, there will be localized inflammatory response forming the mass of the tissue called tubercules, right? So in primary infection, what will be the form? That will be mass of the tissue, and we'll call it tubercules, right? What is inflammatory response with the mass of the tissue? That tubercle, which contain the dead bacteria and macrophages. What are the macrophages?
Bacteria? No, that's bacteria. Oh my god, no.
No, not bacteria. Macrophages.
White blood cell.
Very good. They're a type of white blood cell, right? After about 8 weeks, the immune system controls the bacteria. The inflammation disappears, the lungs tissue heals. The primary TB infection often occur in childhood, and majority, about 90%, heal without the infected individual ever realizing that they have the TB. Got it? However, Mycobacterium tuberculosis has an adaptation that it allows to avoid the immune system. This means some bacteria may survive even the primary infection stage. The bacteria produce with the waxy outer layer which protect them from the enzymes of the macrophages. The bacteria which is an effect the bacteria with an effective coating will remain deep in the tuberculosis of the lungs, dormant or growing slowly in the ears until the person is malnourished. Weakened or immune system does not work well. These bacteria then cause the active tuberculosis. In this way, the most effective bacteria are selected, selected, and their DNA will be passed on. Once
To
the
replicate, right?
yes, once they become the active again, they can grow and reproduce rapidly, causing the serious damage and tissues. Right? However, Mycobacterium tuberculosis has an adaptation that allow us to avoid the immune system. This means some bacteria may survive in the primary infection stage. The bacteria produce thick waxy outer layer which protect means the bacteria produces a capsule around it, right? Which protect it from the enzyme of the macrophages. The bacteria with effective coating will remain deep in the tuberculosis in the lungs, dormant growing slowly for the years until a person is malnourished, weakened, or immune system does not work well. These bacteria then causes the active tuberculosis. In this way, the most effective bacteria are selected and their DNA will be passed on. Once they become the active again, they can grow and produce rapidly, causing the serious damage and disease. The active phase of sometimes simply result of new infection. If a really heavy load of the bacteria enters the lungs, the infection has an effect before the immune system can respond properly. About 80% of the people with the active TB suffering from a reactivation of an old controlled infection rather than new infection, right? So that is
What
the
does
main
that
point.
mean?
Okay, look, the active phase sometimes play simply result a new infection. Suppose that a person have got primary infection. Primary infection, no, you know, understand?
Yeah.
Primary infection, which a person got at the childhood. What happens during the primary infection? The immune system suppress that bacteria, but all bacteria do not die. Some of the bacteria they make a coating around them, a slimy coating around them. That coating protect that coating protect them from macrophages and their enzyme. What happened? After 10 year, after 5 year, 10 year, or after 20 year, when the person become weak or ill or sick, that bacteria become active, right?
The old bacteria?
Yeah, those bacteria which left behind. Got it?
Oh.
Because bacteria are immortal, they do not die, right? So those bacteria become active in future, right? So when they become active in future, that's what we discussed over there. The active phase is sometimes simply result of new infection. Generally, right? Active bacteria become new because of new infection. It is really heavy load of the bacteria enters into the lungs. The infection has effect before the immune system can respond properly. About 80% of the people with the active TB are suffering from the reactivation of the old. Got it? Means
Yes.
those people who are infected by the bacteria, out of them only 20% have got the new infection. 80% of the people have got the infection because of reactivation of those old bacteria. Got it?
Yeah.
So suppose that there are the 100 people who are infected with the bacteria. Out of the only 20 people will be there who have got the new infection, either from some infected person or from the entrance of the bacteria. Right? 80% of those people will be those who have got They infected by those bacteria which were inactive in their body for long term. Means they come from the primary infection. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. During the active TB, the bacteria multiply rapidly in the lungs. They causes the typical symptom of the TB, including, so what are the symptom of the TB? Fever, night sweats, loss of appetite, loss of weight. Patient often feel increasingly tired because lungs become weaker, so do not breathe properly. Lack of energy. They cough because of the infection of the lungs. Produces liquid. They produces a liquid from their lungs known as sputum. As infection become worse, the lungs tissue become damaged and blood may caught up in the sputum, right? Coughing, sputum, like that cough come out of the body with the blood kind of the thing.
Oh.
Without treatment, affected person will speedily lose the weight and the lungs will destroy it, right? Finally, the lungs will be destroyed because the alveoli will get filled with that mucus and infected part. As the alveoli break down and produces a large infectious air spaces, right? Alveoli breakdown, and this is the reason that person who have infected with the TB get exhausted easily because the space which should be filled with the air for breathing, that space get filled with the mucus kind of the thing. So the person who is infected with the TB feel tired easily. Got it?
Yes.
Underline all those things.
Okay. Done.
Done. Okay. Fine. The active phase sometime. What? Okay. During the active TB, bacteria multiply rapidly in the lungs. That we did. Worst lung tissue damage, but Mycobacteria also target T cells. Do you know T cells?
No.
Okay. Uh, there are two kind of the cells. They are a type of the WBC, right? So WBC, there are number of the WBC, neutrophils, eosinophils, and all that. So there are two kind of cells. B cells. B cells are produced from the basal organs. So now what are the next question should be what are the basal organs? spleen, right? Spleen, lymph node, right? Lymph node. So all these are the basal organs. So, and there are a number of them, like uh, liver, that is also in the basal organ, right? So they are the B cells. Another are T cells. T cells are basically produced from the thymus gland. Thymus gland, right? B cells and T cells. So what is the function of B cells? Basically, the function of B cells that they help in the production of the antibody, right? What is the function of T cells? T cell directly kill the bacteria or pathogen. So both work as a defense mechanism in our body. Got it?
Yes.
Right. So that is the B cells. So Mycobacteria also target the T cells, reducing the production of antibodies and also disabling the criteria of the part of the immune system, right? So Mycobacterium tuberculosis target the T cells. It deactivate or kill the T cells. When it will deactivate or reduce the T cells or number, reducing the production of antibodies. So when antibody production will reduce, means immune system will become more weaker. So disabling the critical part of the immune system. That's how it disables the critical part of immune system. The bacteria are the temperature sensitive and stop the product stop reproducing above 42 degrees centigrade. So that's why fever is helpful for us, because when the fever comes, we have fever, the body temperature increases. When the body temperature increases, actually the body absorb more iron and bacteria reproduction reduces, because for the reproduction, to increase the reproduction, bacteria require more and more iron. So when iron is not available, then the bacterial reproduction will slow down. Did you got my point of how?
Yes.
So that's why we can say fever is a symptom which is helpful for us. A patient with active TB will often have high temperature. However, human enzymes start to be denatured around 40 degrees centigrade. Right? So the patient is at risk of dying before the bacteria are inhibited. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Eventually, TB causes to death, either because of individual cannot obtain enough oxygen from the air. I told you, though they are damaged lungs, right? So through their damaged lungs, because their organ fail through the lack of nutrition, and since the TB affect the immune system itself, it suffers often become vulnerable to opportunistic infections such as pneumonia. So TB patients are also vulnerable for pneumonia, which may be infection of that actually kills them. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Now come to the next one. Underline first.
Okay. Done.
Done. Treatment and control. Now, what is the treatment and control of the TB? It is important to be it is important to be able to dialogue TB as easily as cheaply as possible. A chest of X-ray will show the TB damage to the lungs. Opaque areas are large. These opaque area, they show the TB infection.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can TB affect heart?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But the lack of oxygen will damage many of the tissue of our body,
Okay.
right? Because yes, that can. You know, heart itself require oxygen, right?
Yeah.
Have you gone through the circulatory system?
Yes.
So the there are certain arteries. So what is the name of that artery which provide um, that
Coronary heart artery?
exactly coronary artery, right? So heart itself require much more oxygen. So when the oxygen deficiency will become, right, heart will itself stop working. So yes, that can damage the heart indirectly. Because in TB person, what happened? The most part of the alveoli that should be filled with the air or fresh oxygen, that remains filled with the mucus part. And when the mucus part will be more, so there will be low air or less amount of the air, hence and the exchange efficiency will decrease. That's how the oxygen supply decreases. So that is the main criteria that may affect the heart indirectly. But
Yes.
okay. The main treatment for the tuberculosis, sorry. So, however, the other disease can give similar image. So the X-ray can suggest that the TB is present, but not confirm it. Right? X-ray, with the help of the X-ray, doctor can detect, yes, there are chances of the TB. Right? But doctor cannot 100% doctor cannot say that yes, this is the TB. Right? New test examining of the DNA of the bacteria will give relatively fast and reliable result that tell us if a person has TB and also if the bacteria are resistant to antibiotic most commonly used to treat it. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. The
Sir,
main treatment.
when the antibiotic is no longer effective for the person, are
Okay.
there any alternatives that will help the person?
Yes, there are many disease. There are many other medicines, but yes, that become difficult to cure the person if antibiotics are not working. Then become difficult,
Okay.
right? Okay, fine. So come to the next point. The main treatment for the tuberculosis with antibiotic for many months, right? Basically for the 7 weeks. For the first 2 months, a mixture of different antibiotic is used. This is because the bacteria may resistant to some of the commonly used drugs, right? But they will be affected by others mixture. The mixture destroy the rapidly reproducing bacteria and also attack the bacteria that hidden in the tissues the hidden tissues of the body or with the immune system are able to metabolize slowly. This is followed by the treatment with two antibiotics for the another 4 to 7 months, right? The most patient will completely free of the TB after about 9 months, but it can take a year to 18 months before all traces of the active disease have disappeared, right? So how much time it can take? It can take up to 18 months, right? But normally, how what is the time is required? 7. Clear?
Yes.
So that time span you have to underline, right? And mixture of different antibiotic is used. First thing, because that bacteria may be resistant to some antibiotic, and 4 to 7 months that you have to underline. The most effective way of controlling TB involving the improving the living standard of the people are less likely to pass on disease if they are not living in the working they are not living and working in the crowded conditions. I've already told you that the crowd is very important for the spreading of the TB. People who are well nourished and are generally healthier have lower probability of developing active TB after the infection. Preventing and treating the disease to the cattle and pasteurizing the milk before drunk help to prevent the spread of the M. bovis. So, pasteurizing milk before it drunk, they help to prevent the spread of TB. Right? It in countries where TB is already rare, attempts are made to contact all the people in the regular close contact with an infected individual so that they can be tested for the TB, either immunized or treated appropriate. Got it or not?
So yeah, sir, pasteurizing milk,
Okay.
that's the one that comes in boxes, right?
All right. So, what is the pasteurization process? Do you know?
Like heating the milk to kill the bacteria.
Exactly. Then cooling it.
Yeah.
Heating the milk not at 200 degrees centigrade. Heating the milk up to 60 degrees centigrade, and then cooling it. So this process is repeated 3 times at the difference at the interval of 60 minutes, right? And then we call it pasteurized milk. And that practice was developed by Louis Pasteur. Hence, we call it pasteurization. This process. Got it?
Yes.
So why up to 60 degree? Why not up to 100 degrees centigrade?
It can kill all of the enzymes, I guess.
Right, it will kill the nutrient, will destroy the nutrient, right? Denature the nutrient. That's why not up to 100 degrees centigrade. That's why up to 60 only, right?
Okay.
Okay. Underline all things.
Yes.
Fine. Immunization has been very effective in the final reduction of the case of the TB in the countries such as UK, where the incidences are low. You learn more about the vaccination. Uh, until particularly developed countries, we spread the winning against Mycobacterium tuberculosis. However, the number of the cases of the TB is increasing again. The reason for you could include the deteriorating the social conditions, some of the areas, migration, and some movement of the refugees between the country, or two or more foreign travelers, and an increase in intravenous drugs use the most of all, increasing the number of the people infected with the HIV and AIDS. One worrying development is evolution of multi-drug resistant strain of the microbacterial tuberculosis. I told you, multi-drug resistant means the new strain of the Mycobacterium tuberculosis is resistant for the many of the antibiotics. Right, that is the new challenge, making treatment more difficult and more expensive to increase the risk of the people dying. You will learn more about the antibiotic resistance bacteria, right? In our country, the TB medicine and TB treatment is free. If any person goes to the government will treat until he or she becomes fit, right? And we are trying to eradicate the TB, and we are about to eradicate this disease. But it's really very difficult to stop this disease because it is spread with the crowd. So the person traveling in the metro and all that, he or she sneezes and he or she is infected with the TB. Definitely, she or he will give the TB to the next 10 people. So that is the most challenging part. Primary infection, tuberculous, right? Cases disease of the disease HIV and AIDS. Here we are going to study about the AIDS. Okay, so let's start with the HIV or AIDS. First tell me what the basic idea you have about the HIV and AIDS. Tell me Affaf. It's very common and very uh,
Transmitted disease.
fine.
Um,
How does like what is the cause of this disease? How
Um,
how, how dangerous this were?
no, I don't remember that
Okay.
because the last time I studied this was 4 years ago.
Okay. 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 You know, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So I have already told you this is a syndrome. It's not a disease. So
Yeah.
syndromes give the invitation of disease. So people do not die with this AIDS because AIDS is not a disease. People die with the most of the people die with the TB because the person who. So what happens? This virus HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, it kills the B cell and T cells, completely kills. So when it destroys B cells and T cells, the immune system become ineffective, and then the person will die because of any new infection. Right? That's what it do. Clear? So
Yes.
acquired immunodeficiency syndrome is a relatively new disease. Of first cases were identified in 1980s, right? So first case was identified in 1980s. In 2016, 36.7 million people in the world were living with the HIV, and maximum people were from where?
America?
No, not at all.
No,
Americans are never. Huh?
I don't know.
South Africa. South Africa.
South Africa? Why?
That was in that was in top of the world. South Africa. That was in the top of the world. Still, the African countries are the top of the world for the HIV infection, and around 1 million people died of HIV related illness. We know that the infective agent of the human immunodeficiency virus, that is the HIV, we know that it is transmitted. Unfortunately, we have yet to stop and spread the disease despite of much funding for the research, right? HIV, still there is no complete cure of the HIV. HIV and AIDS starts with infection by HIV virus, which attack the cells of immune system. That so what it do? It attacks the cells of immune system that normally protect us against the disease. Means I have already told you it stop working of the T cells. After the time of infection can lead to disease called acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Right. This disease has many symptoms, including the fever, persistent diarrhea, and weight loss. Secondary infections are more common, including the TB. A rare type of the pneumonia and uh, secondary infection are more common, include the TB. A rare type of the pneumonia and Kopsis sarcoma. Death is the frequently result of the secondary infection. Right? Infection of the HIV does not immediately lead to the AIDS. People infected by the virus but showing no symptom of HIV positive. That is very important. That the HIV positive symptom, it takes much more time. Sometime a person got infected with HIV after the 4 year or 5 year, he realized that he or she got infected with HIV. Got it?
Sir, how was it developed? Like, what caused the formation of this?
What cause?
Well, how did it come to be?
Means how the person get the infection. That's what you are asking. How
How
does it?
did it develop?
How does it develop?
Yeah.
Uh, Actually, it does not develop. It comes from some infected person. There is only source of HIV, right? So uh, basically, HIV was not present in the humans. That is the story behind it. HIV was not present in the human. What happened? Some like the coronavirus was not present in this world. It was most of us think, and even that American president directly said that it has been developed by the uh, China, and even we that we confidently we can say that this virus have been developed by the China, because this is not a natural virus, right? What happened? They were developing some virus as the biological weapon, and it outbursted from the some laboratory. That's what happened, and that's how it is spread. Still, we consider that this is the truth. That's what is happened. And the same thing with the HIV. It is said that American scientists were working on some disease or some medicines, and they were working on the rhesus monkey. And either this laboratory was present in Africa or in South America. There are two locations from where the AIDS or HIV spread. And that medicine then used in the human. And unfortunately, along with that medicine, this virus came transfer from the rhesus monkey to the human, right? Then, whenever the people get infected, there are the major cause behind the is the physical intercourse, right? So actually, the in African country, why this is the most is widest spread disease in the African country. Actually, in African country, the like uh, uh, because of the unprotected sex and unprotected intercourse, right? Because of that thing, it is spread in African country, and still that kind of the practices are wider spread in African continent. So that's why infection. So this is the primary reason behind the infection. The secondary reason is, suppose that a person is got infected with the HIV, and he went to the a saloon. He got to the shaving, and his blood or his blood remains, blood stain remains during the shaving. The blood stain get stuck with the some equipments. Then the HIV can spread from one person to another. That means the use of the syringe, reuse of the syringe, by drugs taking and all that. So these are the way, that's how the HIV is spread, and that's how it is originated. But this is the story behind the HIV. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Underline all these lines.
No, I am underlining them
Yeah,
now.
please.
Done.
Done. Okay. Uh,
So what
HIV
is
is like,
Kaposi's sarcoma?
sorry,
Kaposi's sarcoma.
where is that?
At the end of this paragraph, of the second paragraph.
So,
Yeah. Kaposi's sarcoma.
look, uh, sarcoma means this is the disease which is something related with the. Let me tell you. Give me 1 second. Uh, I'll tell you right now what is Kaposi's sarcoma. Because this is not a usual disease, it's an unusual disease. It's a type of cancer, the lining of the blood lymph vessels. Actually, Do you have idea about the lymph nodes?
Lymph nodes, yes, but I've always struggled to understand them.
Look what happens. It's a type of uh, actually suppose that these are the lymph nodes, right? So in the inner lining of lymph node here, the inner lining of lymph node, then control division starts, right? And tumor formation starts. This is called this is called Kaposi's sarcoma. Got it? It's a type of cancer.
Okay.
Right? You can write it down. It's a type of the cancer which takes place in inner lining of takes place in inner lining of lymph node, right? So HIV start with the infection by HIV virus which attack the cells of immune system that normally protect us against disease. After the time, the infection can lead to disease called acquired immune deficiency disease. This disease has many symptoms, including the fevers. What is the symptom of the disease? Including fever, persistent diarrhea, weight loss, secondary infection, or the common include TB, a rare type of the pneumonia, Kaposi's sarcoma. Death is frequently a result of the infection. Infection by HIV does not immediately lead to the AIDS. People infected with the virus show no symptom are HIV positive. This means that the blood test shows the presence of HIV antibodies, right? Shows that the result from the Joint United Program HIV AIDS 2016. The United Nations program found that 90% of the infected people living in developing world in sub-Sahara Africa. Look, it's written over there. In sub-Sahara Africa, nearly 1 in every 25 people infected with the HIV and AIDS was the single largest cause of the death. However, trends are important in absolute figure. Number of the people infected with the HIV and the dying in AIDS in Africa around the world are falling. New HIV infections among adults have increased from 11% have increased decreased by 11% in 2010. New infection children described by 47% from 30 lakh in 2010 to 16 lakh in 2016. There is a long way to go since epidemic started. More than 70 million people have been infected and around 35 million people have been died, but future looks encouraging. Got it?
Yes.
So keep it till here,
Okay.
and then in next class we'll start with from where underline all these things. Then we'll discuss.
Okay.